Welcome to the 12.7 Kickoff for Distribution. I'm Larissa Lane. I'm the Product Manager for Distribution, here to share with you some of the highlights of what we'll be working on over the next month. Over the past several months, we've been working on building UBI-based images of GitLab. And the current phase that we're working on for this effort is to add the UBI-based images to our release process. We made really good progress on this in the 12.6 timeframe. We have 2 out of 3 merge requests that are being tested and merged, and we just have a little bit more work to do to get those into the release process, and we expect to wrap that up in the 12.7 timeframe. So this issue here, it's a team tasks issue. 444 is the issue that we're using to track that work. And we have some documentation available on our website already on how to get up and running with the UBI-based images, including an example YAML file here that you can use to see what values you need to set. For the charts, we have a number of updates of components that we've been wanting to make. We've been holding off on those for a major release of the chart, and we're scheduling that major release for the 12.7 timeframe. Here's an epic. This is in the charts project. Epic 6 is tracking each of the items that will be going into that release. So we have updates coming for Cert Manager, Prometheus, and we're updating the PostgreSQL chart. We're also switching to the upstream Redis chart. We've been working off a fork of that chart, and we'll be switching to the upstream to reduce the maintenance overhead there. There are a number of API deprecations that were made in Kubernetes 1.16, and we're making the changes on our side to remove dependencies on any of those deprecated API versions. And then finally, we are making some changes to the Sidekick deployments so that we're using a unique selector. And what this will do is for multiple deployments of Sidekick pods, the deployments will now know which pods belong to them. The other chart work that we're doing in 12.7 is this one here, adding support for common access cards. This is something that already exists as a feature in Omnibus, and we've had growing interest recently in having that feature available in the Helm chart deployment. We did some good research for this in the 12.6 milestone on how to implement support. And so we have a good plan moving forward to hopefully move this along and potentially complete it in the 12.7 release. And this work is part of a bigger effort that you can track here in this Epic 2260, which is to move our cloud native install from the current maturity level that we've given it, which is viable, to a complete maturity level. And you can read about what that actually means in this Epic. And I've started writing down some acceptance criteria for what it might look like to move the maturity level. Would really appreciate feedback from the community on this one, so please feel free to jump into this Epic and provide comments. All right, moving on from the chart work, we are doing some work around automating deployments for high availability nodes and for Geo. The first part of this is to be able to automate that internally so that we can more quickly test HA, Geo, and upgrades on those configurations. A future iteration of this will be making it available to the community to automate your own deployments. We made a little bit of progress on this in 12.6, but I think expect to see the majority of this work happening in 12.7. And because of the holiday break, probably more like a 12.8 effort. And we announced in the last kickoff our plans to add support for Postgres 11 and 12. So there's an epic that's linked to this issue here that will help you understand what our plan is there. We started researching what it will take to add PostgreSQL 11 in the 12.6 milestone. That research work is going to carry over to 12.7, and we expect to be creating issues and actually starting to work on those issues in 12.7 so that we can add support for Postgres 11 in hopefully in the 12.8 timeframe. So we have plenty of time to test it before we make it an opt-out option in a major release of GitLab. We've been working on upgrading Redis to Redis 5. We have done the majority of this work already in 12.6, and we just have a little bit more testing to do before we release it. So we're expecting to release that in 12.7. And then finally, we have become aware of a growing issue where people attempting to upgrade run into some problems if background migrations have not completed before they attempt the upgrade. So ultimately, we'd like to put some guardrails in place so that you cannot upgrade until the background migrations have completed. Our first step is going to be to add documentation on how to check if background migrations have completed. And as part of that documentation, we expect to learn a lot about what it would take to actually implement guardrails. And so the guardrail work is currently slated for 12.8. And that's the highlights. Thank you so much for joining.